Hello and a very good evening to everyone present here today. I am Chhabra from Team Espousal, and thank you to everyone who has invested your time with us today and for the next 2 days and joining us for the very first international version of Espousal 2022. Me and my team are thrilled to have you here, and thank you so much for joining from various parts of the world. Uh, we've had some great panel sessions so far, and moving on, we're going to start with the next panel session today. And I take great pleasure in introducing each and every one of them. And in no particular order, we have Divya Chadha, all the way from Mumbai, India. She's the founder of a Klass apart. She's a luxury wedding planner and entrepreneur and has done weddings across India and internationally. We have Sandip Goswami, who's also our moderator for the session. He is the founder and managing director at Shubharambh Productions, Bangalore, India. From CWW India, we have Yash Chandhok. He has many years of experience in the hospitality industry and has been associated with international hotel brands as well. We also have from India Sidhesh Kandiyil, the managing director of Watermark's Event Solutions. His comprehensive knowledge and understanding in weddings, corporate events, and artist management has made him one of the quickest solution providers in the industry. We have Vivek Braganza, Assistant Vice President at Shangri-La Group, with nearly 20 years of experience in sales and marketing and revenue management. And last but not the least, we have all the way from Argentina, a wedding expert and an international speaker. We have Adrian Pavia. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to Sandeep. All the very best.
2022. I'm really delighted to have all of you here. Thank you, Divya, for
Hi, everyone.
thank you, Shivani, for introducing all of us. I am really excited to be a part of this, and especially being into production. Wedding is one of the most experiential and exciting thing for most of the people on the screen right now here. I welcome all of you one more time, Divya, Adrian, Vivek, to the show. And we are looking forward for also the other two moderators to join us so that we have a great conversation together. And today we can talk about destination wedding, the most exciting thing that is happening in last so many years. And over the years, destination weddings have taken a large format with reference to getting people to use different destinations across the globe, and especially people from India and people from any other part of the globe also uses a small destination where wedding planners make them look like a great experience and a destination. So, as we begin, my first question to the entire panel members here, including Divya, who is one of the most experienced uh, wedding planner from India. What do you think is the first step that one need to follow when they start the process of destination wedding? Hi, Divya. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Okay, hello. How are you doing? Okay,
Good.
fine. The first step I think is calling me. I'm here. Just call me because uh, everything begins calling a destination wedding planner. We can make a big couple. You staying in India and me here in South America. So we can match together so as to start working because I'm living here and I do not how this market works well here. So try to investigate the destination so as to make a victim in the destiny. That's the very beginning of all of this situation. Destination weddings are not only the destination; it's also a big business with hotels, vendors, and many other factors in the destiny. So start making contacts, or say make networking, make B2B.
Correct. So just to hear from Divya, what is your thought for the first step that one need to start when it comes to a destination wedding?
Hey everyone, how are you? So I think when it first comes down to a destination wedding, the first thing everyone should be doing is, well, where do you want to get married? What's your dream location? Is it a beach? Is it a city? Is it one of your favorite spaces to go to, where you start really getting into a destination wedding? And then also the important thing over there is how many people do you want at your wedding? Because you can't find the best. In order to find the best destination location for yourself, you need to know how many people do you want there, and then go about finding your great venue. I'm coming down to South America, Adrian. I'm doing a wedding with you over there. That's my dream then.
I will be waiting for you here, obviously.
Perfect.
So I know that, as you mentioned, that venue is very important. First is the destination that one look forward for, and then we get into the venue part. Now I know that we have Vivek who has joined us from Shangri-La. So I want Vivek to put some light on it now. I'm sure you must be getting a lot of client requests from different parts of the globe where they come to your hotel for hosting a destination wedding. Now, what is that you think is the ideal kind of a crowd size that one can manage as a planner, and also one can manage as a hotel where you give the complete experience? I'm sure when it comes to a wedding, each and every person who's attending the wedding need to be treated equally like a bride and the groom. So what is that ideal size that you recommend when somebody's planning for a wedding which is a destination? Now, destination can be in India, destination can be in any part of the globe.
Thank you, Sandy. And I've always believed that, we would have heard the adage, that really old adage, it takes a village to raise a child, right? Well, try a destination wedding. You need a town or you need a city behind you. And you really need that circle and that network. And I think Adrian said something very similar, so the Divya as well, that you need to have that support system that's got your back, and the hotel is one element of that. And I think we as hotels kind of come into the picture a little bit later in the day, once the destination's largely decided, or the venue is sort of fixed, and our role is really more about getting together with the rest of that village or that town or that city to make those dreams come alive. And from a wedding size perspective, I don't think there is a right answer to that. It really just depends on where, how many guests, what the expectations are. We see destination weddings of 50 people, and we see destination weddings of 5,000 people. So
Right.
it really depends on the audience, I think, and who's involved. Thanks.
All right. Just to quickly add to this, what is the present trend that is going on right now in the market with reference to the destinations when it comes to selection of it? I'm sure in India there are X number of destinations. If I conclude globally, there will be millions and thousands of destinations. So, what are the trends that one look forward for while selecting the venues or the destinations? If you can put some light on it, all of you. I start with
Okay, well,
Adrian.
oh, Adrian's gonna go. Go on
Yeah.
then, Adrian.
No, 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 go, go.
Okay.
So
Divya.
I love it. Ladies first, then. I'm the only lady in this group, so I'm going with it. I think when it comes down to trends, what it really boils down to is every couple now is looking for a location that's unique, something that's not been done before, something that is new, innovative, and something where their entire social circle of friends and family who've ever gotten married, they don't want to get married in the same place. So that's something that's key when it comes out, when you think of a trend, when you're looking for things, which makes it very interesting for all of us planners and for the hotels out there, because we're always looking for something new and exciting, right? Wouldn't you agree with that, Adrian?
Yes, I think that couples nowadays do not just think they are wedding as a wedding, but they are thinking they are wedding as a destination vacation with the whole family also. And I think that less person going to the party in the destiny, it's gonna be better. I think so. I cannot imagine a destination wedding with 5,000 guests. For me, it's impossible to think that. I know that for you is very common, but I think that first of all, couple nowadays, especially here in South America, are thinking about gastronomy, culture, religion, and a part of all of that, the destiny. Perhaps they are very involved with the destiny because of something related with their families, and there are many situations that they collaborate with the destiny, especially the climate and many other critical factors nowadays.
So just to add here, what is the time that you think one should plan the wedding with? What is the minimum time that one should keep it in mind before they look forward for this kind of wedding? So starting with Divya, I want to ask her first now, ladies, to take this up. What is the duration of the time that you think the bride and the groom should start, or maybe the planner should start before they look forward for the destination or for the venue or for the rest of the logistics which is required to get a great experience?
1 year and a half to me, yes, because
For
one
me,
year it's not enough nowadays. There are many trips you
comes
have to
down to,
do. There are
for me, I
many
feel
things you have to
a good
achieve in the destiny.
advance.
I think we lost Divya. Adrian, you can go on. I think we lost her.
No, okay. I said that I prefer to think on 1 year and a half nowadays, because with 1 year I cannot do the best arrangement for everything. Perhaps in 1 year and a half, my timetable, so as to manage the destiny, it's gonna be better, so as not to get stressed. Okay, destination weddings are really very hard to organize. That's why I'm saying 1 year and a half. Yes.
Okay, so we have Sidhesh and Yash also joined us. Welcome, Sidhesh. Welcome, Yash, to Espousal
Hi.
2020.
Hi there.
Hello. I'd like to apologize. I was facing some technical challenges, but it's great to be here. Thank you, Sani.
All right. So we were actually just discussing about the destination wedding, and we just started where we had a question to the panel members where what is the ideal time that one should plan the wedding? What is that duration that one should take so that the hotel or the planners or the vendors they will be able to block and people can get that early blockage of the hotels or other transport setups and etc. So what is that you think, Siddesh? One should keep that time lapse in mind.
Destination wedding means minimum, I think it should be 6 months minimum, because there are a lot
Okay.
of things to plan in terms of logistics and depends upon the distance, no, what distance we choose, national or international. Okay, as per that it change.
Okay.
The problem is that nowadays we are dealing with the coming back from the pandemic, and hotels are not very ready so as to receive us. There are many weddings, many weddings. There are many people going on vacation, and that's why I'm saying 1 year, 1 year and a half. Because nowadays I am trying to arrange two weddings, and it is impossible because of the vacation, because the amount of people going around my country and other countries. Okay, and that's why it's really very complicated nowadays so as to arrange a date for that wedding on a destiny.
So, so just to pose the same question to Divya also, the question was, what is the ideal time that you think one should take to plan a destination wedding?
For me, definitely, I would say like 12 to 18 months for sure. I work on really bespoke weddings. And if you want to really get the right sort of properties in mind, like something more exclusive, a bit more bespoke, and actually have a stress-free time planning your wedding, even as a couple, 12 to 18 months minimum. And as Adrian has just put, given that we're coming out of the pandemic right now, everyone's on vacation. People are like making up for holidays that they missed out
Right.
on prior to the pandemic, and all the bookings that were
Right.
taking place just before the pandemic are still going on. So it's like you're really looking at a solid 18-month turnaround time before you can comfortably think without stressing out.
So just a question to Vivek here. Now you heard them that 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years. What is the ideal time the planner or the client should reach out to a hotel? I'm sure post-pandemic, as they all rightly mentioned, that people are spending their time, using the hotel as a vacation space. So what is the time that we should look forward now, post-pandemic, where some places are still under the pandemic setup? So what is that you think or you suggest us to look forward for while selecting the hotels with a
Yeah,
with
I
a
think
hundred percent with a 100% sold out element I'm talking about. I'm
sorry.
sure when I'm talking about a destination wedding,
No,
I would like to do a property buyout.
absolutely. And I think it's a very, very important consideration just now. The majority of my time at the moment as a global sales leader in India is not about generating wedding demand. It's really about managing it, because we're seeing timelines actually eroding. We're seeing shorter lead times than ever before for high demand destinations. We're seeing a rush for visas for many destinations, trying to get visas in time, getting those processed for the group, and then having to change destinations as well. So it's incredibly complex at the moment. I think the more lead time, the better, for sure. And I think Adrian mentioned the hotels that have a tremendously large base of leisure business that's come back. This wasn't always the case before the pandemic. So we're seeing a lot of local business. We're seeing revenge tourism. In some places, as high as 80-85% higher than during the pandemic period. So it certainly is something that we're having to balance out. Seasonality and demand patterns have changed drastically. So while as hotels we definitely want Indian weddings and we love the ability to have that business, there are also other structural challenges, operational challenges with the kind of staffing challenges that we face post the pandemic. And I think I come back to my initial point that the importance of that village is really critical, because we all need to work together to set the expectations of the customer in place to make sure that they get the dream that they want, because many of us are facing similar challenges at the same time. So from
Right.
a brass tacks reality perspective, definitely the longer term, the better. Uh, but I don't know if there's a right number for that either. Thanks, Sandip.
So just to add to here, I have a very important question. I'm sure being a hotelier, being a wedding planner, or meet the bride and the groom, what is the budget that one need to set to host a destination wedding in a exotic location? I'm sure you all have come across this question many a times.
The more, the
I'm sure.
better.
Sorry, I mean, that's absolutely right.
The
More the
more, the
better. But
better.
what is the cap that you think one should keep it while planning a destination wedding?
I
So
think
honestly, I
Sandeep,
don't
more
think there's a cap.
importantly,
No,
please,
go
please,
ahead,
Divya,
Yash.
go
There
ahead.
is no cap though, and I think Yash is going on to that
Exactly.
point.
I'm saying that it's more important to actually manage your expectations and understand what you actually want. Based on that, I think budget should be set. You can't just enter into planning a wedding with a fixed budget in mind and then working backwards. And that doesn't usually work, and that usually leads to dissatisfaction both on the hotels and on the client side. So to save everyone the hassle, I think setting expectations and knowing what you want for your wedding is more important, and then setting those budgets.
Right. Divya, you were adding something.
I was saying that I've had this a lot. I have a lot of people come up to me and say, well, how much does it cost to have a wedding? And I really tell them the same thing. I say, it all comes down to what your expectations of your wedding are. What is your vision for your wedding? Because you can get a wedding at any budget. There's no qualm about that. You know, we've got startups, we've got young businesses, and then we've got very key established wedding planners out there. You've got celebrity weddings, you have, star weddings, etc., starlet weddings, and you've got the H&I profile. So there is no real base. But when it comes down to a wedding, I would say at this point, I would say that when you're looking at every 100 people at a wedding, especially for the
Okay.
NRI market that's coming out there, and I've worked this calculation over the years, for every 100 people over a 2 to 3 day wedding, take £100,000. So if you've got 200 people, keep a £200,000 budget. So let's say about a 2 crore budget is what you want to be looking at, where you are taking care of food, beverage, you're taking care of some accommodation, not all, because NRIs don't always pay for the rooms, but you can just add on top off another like 50 grand on there when it comes to accommodation. And you're looking at your photographers, hair, makeup, invitation, designers, gifting, etc. Like once you go into that range, that's sort of the budget. So I've had clients come to me and say, oh, we've got a 50 lakh budget or a 55,000 pound budget. But by the time we start actually out, we've reached over 100. Like we've doubled their budget already. And it's not because I'm trying to increase their budget, just the food and beverage alone at a 5-star hotel. And if that's the quality of service you're going for, food and beverage takes a massive chunk of someone's budget. And people need to realize there are fixed costs for your wedding, and then there are variable costs for your wedding. Fixed costs we can't do anything about. It depends on the number of people you want and how long your wedding is going to be. Everything else, your wedding planner is there to sort of help you with that village and army of people to try and work within your budgets and make your wedding really hit your dream wedding the way you want, keeping your budget in mind once we've established the parameters of what that wedding budget is supposed to include.
Great. I think what you
can I
say,
say
Sandy is asking
want-
this
I want to-
question.
Okay.
sorry,
I
go
want
on.
to say something. Here, I'm always joking with my couples. I'm always saying dreams come true. We all know that dreams come true. But if you got the money so as to pay the dreams come earlier, better for you.
Right, well said. Yeah, Sidhesh, you were adding something, I think. Yeah.
No, Sandy, first of all, you are asking this question because you take only weddings above 5 crore.
No, we have Divya
so
here
that's
who
first
takes
reason that I
more than that
understood.
also.
No,
See,
I
now
take really
hoteliers, first of all, hoteliers decide, no? See, now, yeah. So now hoteliers, see, the hotelier is here. So hotelier decide. So hotelier is also having the difficulty in managing that he should take 5 crore wedding or 10 crore wedding or 25 crore wedding. There is no negotiation point, or there is no topic of, okay, budget is less means, oh, sorry, not date available. So that is the concern now, but things will change. Okay, this boom is not long time, so you should not make that practice. And this is a question, something connected to the early point. Actually, when we jump to this point, just see, I told the 6 months to 1 year for a wedding planning. No, now if you go to 12 months to 18, tomorrow it will become 2 year. So couple is waiting for 2 year without marriage. Very difficult, no? So these all things we need to consider. We should think from couple side also, couple's family side also, and budget part also. We should think from everybody's side. That's what I think.
So just to add with Sidhesh, what he was trying to say is that in that 18 months, he will end up doing at least 4 weddings, where some planners only try and do 1 or 2 max. I'm sure in India and post-pandemic, everybody is looking forward to do a quick ROI and revenue generation as quick as possible. So just to ask Vivek a question. Now, Vivek, for example, 100 people's event, if it has to be hosted in Shangri-La, for example, in any of the destinations, either India or out of country, just give us a ballpark figure that what should be the allocation of the funds which should be kept towards the hotel. Because as you heard from the planners that if I am spending 100 rupees, I spend almost 60 rupees for the hotel and the stay and the food and the venues. So what is that if suppose somebody has to come to Shangri-La for 100 people wedding for a 2 or a 3 day, what should be the budget that need to keep it for the hotel's perspective with reference to everything? I'm not talking about the decor part. Decor, I will deal with them separately so that people get more understanding about the hotel.
Yes, and I think that's a discussion where the planner's insight comes in, because each destination has different price points.
Right.
So to take an example, and I can share this in dollars, but if you're looking at Sri Lanka in the 5-star luxury set, probably in around $200 a night is kind of the sweet spot where you're going to get an all-inclusive kind of an offer, right? $250.
Right.
But you look at destinations like Paris, for example, where you'll be spending 1,500 euros a night easy
Right.
for a real good. So it depends on what the mix is, what the expectation is, and what their dream is. So if the dream is to get married within sight of the Eiffel Tower, cost to that dream.
Right.
If the dream is beachside wedding, then there are options to that dream. And that's really where that village comes back. That's where all of us put our insights together, really led by the planner to bring it all together. Because as I think many planners would attest, the initial conversation with the bride and the groom, or just the bride, can go all over the world several times. So it's really about seeing which destination works. Thank you.
So we also come across a lot of hotels where most of the planners and most of the people on the panel you can see have worked with. What is that USP which will attract the customer to the hotel? What is that your selling proposition there? I'm sure venue is the most important thing, whether it is Eiffel Tower as a location, or it is a beach as a location, or it is a mountain as a location. Apart from this, what are the other USPs that the hotel tries to portray, or hotel tries to put it across to the planner or the clients?
I think, Sandy, if I may, hotels, more or less, the food is one of the most crucial factors when it comes to weddings, and especially Indian weddings. And that's where the flexibility of the hotel is actually tested. How many dishes can they put out? How many Indian dishes can they put out? Can they bring in Indian chefs? Can the wedding planner actually fly in chefs from India and use the kitchen of the hotel? So, of course, venues are extremely important, and realizing which venue is perfect for which event and which ceremony is very important. But along with that, the flexibility of a hotel, I think, is one of the most crucial factors in
Right.
actually locking down on a wedding.
Right. I think I agree with Yash. Flexibility is what we all look forward for when it comes to bringing on our certain set of vendors. Now, when I say vendors, basically the chef. Now,
Absolutely.
if I'm doing a Indian wedding, for example, in any part of the globe, the Indians, they would like to have the preferred cuisine which has to be a part of the buffet. Now, just to add here, I have a question to Adrian. Adrian, have you ever explored India as a destination for any of your bride or a couple that you have managed or managing?
Um, Really, I've never been in India, but little by little, I'm getting more in contact with that great country. I've been in Turkey a few months ago, and I met there a great Indian guy that taught me a lot about how to manage a big wedding, and he invited to go there. His name is Mahesh Berna. Probably in December, I will be there so as to know how to manage an Indian wedding, because here in South America, in America, and especially, we do many weddings, but our weddings are nothing in compare with yours weddings, because you've got 10 days weddings. Everything is really very special. The religious part is really great, and I have to learn a lot. So before I started working there, I prefer to study. And to study better, I must go to visit the country. Perhaps one day in 1 or 2 years, I will be there working.
Perfect. Sounds nice. I'm sure we all are here to help you. Please do come to India. We would look forward to support you in any destinations across
Well, welcome
India.
to India.
Now, yeah, now taking that, having coming to India, or anybody from India hosting a wedding in any other country, we all have to depend on one source, which is called as vendors. Now, in a wedding, there are X number of vendors comes into picture compared to any other event. Now, each and every vendor will have a specialty in it. So, I would like to hear from you all the kind of vendors that you have worked with and the challenges that you must have faced while working with a vendor who's not from your city. We can start with Divya. I'm sure Divya, you must have
Ooh.
done different parts of the globe. What is that one challenge that you face when you work with a new vendor in a new country or a new city?
So I think sometimes it's the expectations, right? So depending on where you've worked and which part of the world you've worked in and the relationships you've developed with your other suppliers, sometimes out of sheer habit as a planner, we feel that we've conveyed our expectations completely to our suppliers and possible vendors. Whereas what one needs to remember is that different parts of the world operate differently, right? So when you go into another part of the world, so if you go into Europe, for example, this sort of open arm hospitality that we get in India or the Middle East or the Far East, it's unheard of in Europe, right? So where our vendors and suppliers in these parts of the world will bend over backwards to ensure that everything and more is achieved for your event. When you go into a place like Europe, for example, and I say this because I've worked there, they just look at you and they're like, no, it was not on the list of things to do, so it's not happening. There are people obviously who will be very helpful, but it all comes at a price point. So I think the expectations that we need to set with our vendors and suppliers in terms of what we want from them, what our clients expect from them, have to be set very right at the start. So, for example, language barriers, right? So I know if I ever had to come to South America, I'm just going to call Adrian and be like, Adrian, hook up the language because I don't know how to I don't know how to
Yes.
speak this. I can't do it, but I need someone on my side who understands what I want. So he would be my preferred partner. I wouldn't then go directly to a vendor if I was going into another country. If I'm going to South America, I'm going straight to Adrian. I'm going to talk to him, and then I'm going to use his resources to ensure that I get the best possible deals and partners for my client events. And this is what even couples need to think about when they go to a location, that they need to get the right partners, because if they don't have a wedding planner on board, there are going to be challenges. And if the planner can face challenges, which we know how to overcome, I can't even imagine how much harder it will be for a couple who don't know the ins and outs of what it's like to manage suppliers.
Right. What do you think, Adrian?
Yes, I think that everything is based on the relations. Okay, when I go abroad like a planner, many times vendor thinks or look at me like I am an enemy, and I'm not an enemy. I am a partner. So I work a lot so as to let them know that this must be a win-win relation. So we win together in the destiny. So we have to work together so as to manage everything goes well. If not, there are gonna be many problems. So if you manage everything so as to make a relation win-win, everything gonna be great.
Perfect. I think I am with you on this. Even Divya, what she said is something where we all look forward for collaborating with different partners and different players from the globe, so that our language barriers are taken into consideration. Our, getting the right partner for the event is all on board. What about Siddesh? What is that you think, Siddesh, with reference to the vendor partner being
Of course,
used?
see, said relation matters, but same time, if you're going to a location which is strange, if you're walking for the first time, of course, we should have a ground support agency. Should not work without that. Ground support agency not only for local language, also for checking the credibility of the vendor. Because we are on site, we don't have other option. Okay. So vendor will show you any picture, photo, anything, but he may not be carrying his picture or the work which is done. We don't know credibility. We can't check. It's like interviewing a candidate. Okay, in 20 minutes we don't know anything. Okay, so a
Absolutely.
ground support, good ground support agency with a recommendation should be there. And the first best point for that is the hotel through whom we are on the hotel in which we are gonna doing the events. No, the recommendation from them and local some other recommendation is also there means at least we can catch them. No, the chance are very less. That's what I mean. Okay, in the positive way, chances are very less. We should be free. Any country if you go, that is what we should do. Thanks.
Right. So one question to Yash, what does that you think, Yash, the vendor part, which is the most important part to create experience? I'm sure I must have taken the best of the hotels in the world, but my vendor partner support is the least technically. I'm sure when you talk about Indian weddings, there are some weddings where you see a lot of last minute change. Even if you're planning the wedding for the whole 1 year, one day before the wedding, there's somebody from their relatives who will come and ask for something where all of us get into a different equation. So, what is that you think that the vendor should be a part of it?
So, Sandy, really good question. And I think from a hotelier's point of view, I can very easily say that there is, of course, the planners should have a very good relationship with the vendors that they're working with, which is key. But also that hotels, individual unit hotels, usually have panels where we have trusted vendors that we are contracted with at the hotel. And these vendors are really qualified and then they're put onto that panel. So there are two factors over here. One is you can either trust the hotel side of it, take a vendor from the panel, or one is you trust your relations with your vendors and then put them. Because at the end of the day, it's the amount of flexibility. Again, I'm coming back to the same point. It's the amount of flexibility that the vendor actually offers you and is open to making those last minute changes, which are very crucial. Very crucial.
Right. So just to check with Vivek, as mentioned by Siddesh, that we also need to take a support of the hotel. Now, Vivek, as per your experience, you have been working with the hotel for a long time. What all kind of support do you provide them on site with your existing vendors? For example, if suppose a planner walks into the hotel, do you give a wedding planner a support of your wedding team or a wedding vendor to ensure that whatever is required at the last minute that can be fulfilled?
Sure, absolutely. And I think again, it comes down to the fact that we're all in this together. So I'll also add another facet to this. And one thing that I love about this business, especially here in India, I can speak for it here in India, is there really is a very strong ecosystem. So most of us on this panel, for example, know each other, have worked together, or have come across each other in some shape or form. So when an Indian wedding is going to a destination, they're not forging a new path. More likely than not, there's someone who's already been there. There's someone who has experience to offer, exposure to offer, a network that helps. And in certain cases, when the destination is brand new, I think Divya mentioned this earlier in the discussion, that sometimes the bride or the couple wants to go somewhere no one's been before. And in those
Right.
cases, that's when we're all really tested, right? Because that's when you have to create those ecosystems from scratch. So I think that's in the context of it, and that's kind of where the hotel does come in, of home away from home. But as a hotelier, I would say don't rely only on the hotel, because the hotel typically does have a core strength of Indian weddings, especially in a destination which is somewhat new to Indian weddings. In a destination that knows Indian weddings well, it's an easy conversation, but maybe the hotel won't even be asked in that situation. But if you're going to, I don't know, if you're going to Mongolia, for example, and that does maybe one Indian wedding a year, we'd be
Right.
more than happy to help. Thank you.
So adding to this particular question, I have another question. This is something to do with the hotel. Now, a lot of weddings that happens, I'm sure this question might not be relevant here because people are talking about destination wedding. They have a lot of money to spend. But when it comes to certain things which are unnecessarily, even if suppose the person is spending X amount, they have a question to it. Now, I'm referring to a question with reference to the licenses. There are some licenses which are required to procure before you do a wedding in a specific hotel. For example, this question might be little an informative one for Adrian, but rest of us on the screen, we all know about it very well. I'm talking about if I go to Bombay, I need to take 10 licenses to do a wedding. If I do it in Bangalore, I have required 4 licenses. How do you help us in getting out of it? Where there are two kind of licenses I'm talking about here. One is the licenses for the music. That is something which we all know about it. There are also something to do with the legalities of a wedding. Now, I want, is your venue legally approved to get married? Or is your venue gives us a legal support in terms of managing anything? For example, if I am doing an event on a lawn, now most of the time the hotel will request us to get a excise license or to serve the alcohol, for example. And now these are not small amount. This goes and runs into lakhs when we try to bring them on board. So what is that, you put a little light on it actually with reference to licenses that is required for your hotel in specific, if suppose somebody has to come there?
I think that what we have to do is to uh, mm, prepare a big school of planners, a big school of professionals, a big destiny professionals. Or say, okay, if you want to come here to South America, you must choose a professional one, and I must be licensed on how to manage an Indian wedding and also the hotels where I am working. So let's start trying to prepare a big destination certification, for example. So when you go to the destiny, you can select the specialist hotels, the specialist planners, so as to deal with all these things. Perhaps here I will help you with everything. If I go there, you will manage everything for me. There are many solutions, but perhaps the big solution so as to deal with all these problems is to create a big great certification. Okay, so when you choose me or when you choose a hotel, the first thing you will have to ask yourself is this destination certified on how to manage an India wedding, for example? Okay, I think
Right.
that everything begins in that moment.
Perfect. So my last question, I think we are almost on the end of the panel. My last question, and this should be something which should be a learning for all of us. One element that you all have faced a challenge while managing a destination wedding, which is a learning for others, if you can share it with all of us. I'll start with Divya, the woman power.
Oh God, this one is a loaded. This is a loaded one, Sandy. This is really loaded. Like so many things that we can learn from, because I feel with every wedding you learn something new, right?
Right,
So one is I feel that we have to my biggest learning is it doesn't matter how much I think I've conveyed what I want and what my expectations are. I think I need to put it literally down on a PowerPoint and then have a full debriefing with the team and say, now have you understood what I want? Because till that doesn't happen, I feel somewhere there's a loss in communication. So I feel like everyone needs to be debrief, whether it's the hotel, the vendors, everybody. Because in my head, I think I've conveyed how somebody has missed one little point in
right,
probably my hundreds of emails that have gone out. They're like, we don't want to see Divya's emails anymore, right? So it can happen. But I
right,
feel like it's just something that it's a good practice for everyone. And with the hoteliers as well, like just make sure we all are debriefed all the
right,
time, even if you've worked together regularly. That's
right,
definitely a learning for me.
right. What about Adrian?
Perhaps what I learned of destination weddings was sustainability. Perhaps going out from a country, I learned how to manage with many things like garbage, for example. That here in my country I know how to manage with that, but in a destiny I realized just in that place, okay, what I have to do with all of this, I don't know. They tell you there, okay, perhaps sustainability and everything in relation with the ecology parts, especially when you make a sea beach wedding. Okay, you have to prepare your mind in another way. Okay, that led me a lot destination weddings.
Uh, some word from Sidhesh on this. One learning
Yeah,
that you want.
see, yeah. Each region, each state in India, or each country, if you go to Middle East or Far East or Europe, anywhere, it's different. So every destination wedding, even if you done in the same location again, also will teach you. We are a student. Even now, I think we all are a student. We learn. Everybody will accept what I'm telling. Even a hotelier also will accept. After every wedding, no, because client is different. Again, client will teach you.
Right.
Client will teach us, vendor will teach us, and the entire ecosystem also will teach us. And we will learn, and we will enjoy.
Well said. I think, as you rightly said, that it's a learning every day. We'd like to hear something from Yash. What is that one thing that you faced a challenge which can be a learning for all of us? If you can share.
Sandy, it's an excellent question. It's a very, as Divya said, it's a loaded one. But I think one thing that's important to understand is that we should refrain from experimenting as much as possible, and that is both for the hotel and for the planners. I mean, we should do things that we know how to do very well, because this day, at the end of the day, is one of the most special days of the
Right,
families'
right,
lives. Both the families, the
right,
two families that are coming together. So we
right.
should refrain from experimenting as much as possible and stick with our guns and make
Right.
sure that we give them the best product that they see.
Absolutely right. Well said. Uh, just moving to Vivek, and then we come to a conclusion on this. So, Vivek, what is that you think one should keep in mind? I think well said by Yash. Experimenting, we should not experiment. Anything that you'd like to add on this?
Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge that we face today is managing change. Everything has changed in all our industries in many ways, while everything still stays the same. But what stays the
Right.
same, we don't know. I think we just need to talk to each other a lot more to understand that. This really help. I can share a witty example. Recently for a sale of ours, um, the weekends are now jam-packed with leisure. Uh, and
Right.
the typical city hotel is wide open on the weekends, but it's no longer the case in many cities. So that's a paradigm that's changed for us. But then I'm sure there are paradigms that have shifted for planners. I'm sure there's something for DMCs that's changed, for vendors, suppliers, artists. So I'm keen to
Right.
learn, and I think we're going through that phase just now. Thanks, Andy.
All right. I think it was a very insightful, discussion with each one of you who are expertise in your field. Thank you, Divya, for joining us. Divya Chadha is from A-Class Apart India. She is the director there. Thank you, Yash, for joining us, director at CWW. Thank you, Sidhesh. Sidhesh does a lot of weddings. What we do it in a year as one or two, he does it in a month itself. So anybody has a quick wedding requirement, we all should connect to Siddesh. Adrian, I think he got
Sure.
dropped off. And thank you, Vivek, for all the insight that you gave it to us with reference to the hotel. And while working with the hotel, we look forward, and all of us who's watching this right now, and also people on the panel will look forward to work with the group for sure. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Sandy. I'm signing off with this. Over to the moderator of Espousal
Thank you,
20.
Sandy.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sandy.
team.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Wow, thank you so much, everyone, for joining for this session. It was truly amazing.